Now you're there. Are you talking to him?
Mhm.
Because this is the wrestler
Yeah.
who put wrestling on the map.
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely. He was there, and again, nice, kind, supportive. We talked about his movies, because obviously I taken my son to see, Mr. Nanny and
Of course.
what was the one where he was
Was it Suburban
chef, some
Commando?
Urban Commando, and again, he was really, really nice to me. I had no reason to be. He could have played a big time Hollywood star and looked down his nose, but he wasn't. He was very, very welcoming. And then I saw him again later when he was a guest on Imus. I used to do him as a character on Imus. I would do Hulk Hogan, and it was basically threats on whoever was in the news at the time. But it was, Congressman Weiner, whoever it was all threats from Hulk. There were just these rants that would go on and on. There's a couple of them I think up on YouTube, and he knew that I did that, and he was on the show the day after the video broke of him with that guy that DJ from Chicago, Mancow, was it Mancow,
Yeah,
had
yeah,
kind
yeah.
of done a little honeypot sting and had this videotape of him and Mancow's wife. Um,
Yeah.
and he just looked defeated. I mean, my heart broke for him. He was so defeated by it. He was so hurt, like personally hurt by it. I got the feeling he was, and so I really felt bad for him, because deep down I thought he was a nice guy,
Yeah.
So
The only time I traveled with him was this was cool. Back in the day, they would do double shot weekend. You would wrestle at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, get on a private plane, babyface plane, heel plane,
Wow.
and probably it would hold 4 heels, 4 baby faces. They'd have a box lunch that was not crappy. I mean, it was custom. It wasn't just a bologna sandwich and Fritos. And I remember sitting with him. He was across from me and Ron Bass, and that's the only time. But every time I've talked to Hogan on the plane locker room, I got no prima donnas. Hey, brother, how you doing? Hey, this, hey, that, and I'll never forget this. Birmingham Civic Center, which is huge in Birmingham, Alabama. The main event is the $1 Million Man against Hulk Hogan. And I was always taught, I thanked him for the house. I'm getting paid way more than the B team
Right.
that's at Dothan, Alabama at the farmhouse. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
nothing against that because I've been on the B, C, D, E, F, G teams. So I would thank him. I went out there second or third, and we had a classic tear down wrestling match. Typical heel against a typical babyface. Barry Horowitz against White Lightning Tim Horner. And we come back, and I guess he watched it. He says, damn. He says, I'm just a gimmick. You guys are the wrestlers. And then what do you say to that? No, Hulk, you are. You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
thank you for the house, though. But he's always been polite to me. I haven't seen him in years. I used to see him on some meet and greets, but sometimes those are VIP rooms. You can't get there, or I'll see him on the plane. It's a quick nod. You don't have time to really get a good powwow in. But anytime I encountered any situation with him or talking with him or just in the locker room, traveling business, always positive. Always.
Good to
Mm-hmm.
hear. Good to hear. I
Yeah.
know I know as years have gone on, some people are not kind to him, are kind to him. There's a whole world of opinions on him right now, but all I have to say is the path that every federation is currently on is because of his work. And if you don't
Heck
say
yeah.
that out loud, you're lying to yourself. You're lying
That's
to
right.
yourself.
It's all jealousy, haters.
Of course.
I
You
mean,
know?
he started the music, the look, the Rocky Three. Come on. The promos. Come on now. I
Yeah.
mean, you want to
Yeah.
see, I mean, he's been involved in a lot of matches, but one of my favorite, the Saturday night. Remember that Saturday night they would do every month
Yeah. Saturday
live?
night's main event.
That's it.
Yeah.
And I was fortunate to be on a couple of those. And the best one, Hulk Hogan against Mr. Orndorff. Sorry, Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff, the cage,
Oh yeah.
where they jumped off the cage simultaneously and they're counting them down. who hit their foot
And they
first.
kept showing you different camera angles.
And Hogan wins by 1 second. Ingenious finish. And of course, Paul Orndorff, total package. Really a total package. Look, promos, work, and a real badass in football and wrestling. If you don't believe me, you can't ask Vader right now.
What was your experience like? Did you ever talk to him? Did he ever sit down with you?
I never sat down with Hulk. I've just, in passing said pleasantries. I know this is horrible, but the first thing I realized was I'm bigger than he is. I'm taller than he. Like that, as a wrestler, you look at these icons. It's the same way with Triple H. When I first got my job with Triple H, you look at Triple H, and he's just such a massive individual, not only physically, but just the aura that he carries around with him. The same way with Hulk Hogan. So when I finally got to meet them, I both realized I'm taller than both these guys. So if I'm taller than both of them, I can look as wide as them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right, I'm doing okay. And that honestly was the only thing I took away from my interaction with Hulk Hogan, because again, he was in the back and he was, shaking everybody's hands. And, I'm still a wrestling fan at heart, so I kind of marked out a little bit. And I was like, I don't know what to say to him. It's Hulk Hogan. Oh, my God. I don't want to let him know I'm an idiot, so I just won't speak. Hello, sir. How are you? Nice to meet you.
So those were the exact words you said to him. He shook your hand.
Yeah. Oh, hello, sir. I went back to Greenhorn, like early stages of my career. Yes, sir. How are you? It is so nice to meet you. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Oh, I've been watching you wrestle, kid. You're doing good. All right. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it, But other than that, he had so many people surrounding him, and kind of his entourage. And I just personally don't like to get into the mix of that stuff. I've never been the guy that chases down the boys and like is trying to quote unquote, like I want to get to know him, I want to be his friend. I remember one time when I was with the WWE, I was on a flight and Stone Cold Steve Austin was on the show that night, and sure enough, him and I were on the same flight. And I felt awkward. I went and talked to him a little bit, but I didn't want to like fanboy out, because to a certain extent, like he's everything I wanted to be, attitude wise. You know what I mean? That ass kicker, that guy that goes in there, doesn't take any shit. That when he steps into the ring, he's there to fight. He's not there to be pretty. He's not there to make friends. He's there to fight and then go home. And so I was a bit of a mark for Stone Cold because of the fact that was his whole attitude. Go in, kick ass, go home, drink beer. So I talked to him a little bit and spent a little time with him, but I was nervous. I straight up was, I turned into the straight fanboy. I didn't want to say anything too stupid, but I was lucky enough that I had the background with Harley, and Steve and Harley were close. And so that really was kind of my end to start the conversation.
Oh man, I can only imagine, because like as an outsider like myself, I go to press conferences and there's like Triple H, like 10 feet in front of me, and I'm just like, oh, Mr. Triple H, ask him a question, whatever. But then there you are as a peer, an employee in the company, and yet you are still feeling the butterflies, the nervousness of Hogan and Austin and these characters, these over the top characters, because they're the ones who kind of made the business the way it is today.
Yep. And ultimately, I'm a fan. I'm a fan of pro wrestling. I love pro wrestling. So those were the guys that you were watching coming up. And, as a young man, I'm making my decision based off these larger than life characters, if that's something I want to do. And they did. Both of those guys brought me in. As a young man, Hogan brought me in. And as a teenager turning into a man, Stone Cold brought me in. And those are the guys that, like, wow, the world seems to revolve around them. Not the other way around. And I wanted that. I wanted to be a part of that. I figured if I can get just a quarter of that, my business will be good.
You've worked with so many companies though too, all over the place. It seems like you're every single place, but yet you did stumble upon a time with companies with Hulk Hogan being there, and Hulk Hogan is the man who has paved the way for everyone in professional wrestling. What was your experience like with him? Did you have any conversations? Did he share any wisdom with you? Because he is someone that either people love or hate. I love.
I also love. Hulk Hogan was the reason that I fell in love with professional wrestling in the first place.
Ah.
I was probably 7 or 8 years old when I saw him in my first Saturday night's main event.
Ooh.
You know what I mean?
What's the main event though? What was the main event?
Him and Orndorff.
Oh, steel cage?
Yep. In the cage.
The feet.
So that was my first match that I ever saw. And then I went to school the next day and ended up getting in a fight over it. Which I was like, oh my God, I want to be a wrestler. You know what I mean? Like, I worked, never really like running into him, you know what I mean? But I had posters of him on my wall until I was, I don't know, going into high school probably, you know what I mean? So
yesterday?
I realized that girls didn't really dig that. So like I grew up with him on my wall, and then we were in TNA finally, and it was like he was nicer than he ever needed to be. He would talk with us, beer ski, you know what I mean? Like, it was like I was with Wes and Garrett, you know what I mean? So it was like I already kind of had an in because they've known him for years now, you know what I mean? Like since they were kids,
babies.
Since they're, yeah, you know what I mean? So it's like now here I am, and it's like, boom, I'm just sitting there talking to my hero, and like I get to freaking sell for him every once in a while, you know what I mean? And I like, he sells for us. Like we get to kick the crap out of him. Like, you know what I mean? He's like so nice, you know what I mean? And like, I don't want to go on like about it forever, but
I'll let you. You can go on about it forever.
But I'll tell you what. After we did a show in Tampa down here, and he had a place down there on the beach, Hogan's Beach Shop or whatever it was. Yep. Not the one in Clearwater. It's something else now, but it was there was a hotel and there was like a nice beach thing, and like Jimmy Hart used to be there. He was like one of the managers. It was really cool. It only lasted for like 2 years.
Okay.
So after the Tampa show, he's like, "Hey brother, why don't you come down to the beach shop and I'll have a couple beers or whatever." And I was like, brother, I appreciate you, but I got like 30 people in the audience that are all trying to hang out tonight. Like, I appreciate you. And he's like, bring them all, brother. We'll make sure we have room for everybody and da-da-da-da-da. So me and these 30 friends go in there like crazy people, like always, you know what I mean? Like not thinking nothing of it. And I'll be damned if he didn't pay for the whole damn bill for all of us, even my friends.
Wow.
And he only knew me from doing a few shows, you know what I mean? And like bullshitting on the, like in the parking lot. Like, it's just, like I said, he went above and beyond, man. And not for nothing, I ran into him like maybe a month ago or 3 weeks ago, something like that. It was a Nasty Boy Knobs' big 60th, you know what I mean? So he invited me and the wife to go up there, and the Hulkster was there, you know what I mean? I think it was it was during the Puerto Rico pay-per-view where Damian Priest and Bad Bunny was doing.
Oh, yeah, Backlash.
Yeah, because I actually sat down. I was sitting at the table with him, and we were watching it.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
I was actually there live. It was awesome. Great event.
I was sitting there. Yeah, I was sitting there with him, and I leaned over, and I was like, "Well, shoot!" In WrestleMania 1 and 2 or whatever, when you worked with Mr. T and like Cyndi Lauper and like these stars, how far do you let them go? How much do you give them? You know what I mean? Like, do you have to protect the wrestling business where it's like, okay, this, thank you for your time coming out here, but and
True.
Like we had a 20-minute conversation about what it brings to the business when they come in with different sets of eyes, and it's like, these guys have their children, like even if the parents ain't digging it, they're going to watch it because of him, and then the kids are going to watch it and they're going to fall in love with this, and then like blah blah blah. He like just breaks this whole thing down. Like, and again, who am I, dude? You know what I mean? I'm just like, I sit there and it's like, I know, like, I don't think highly of my like self when it comes to that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? I love everybody, but I'm just me, and I'm just like, I just living the dream, like, yeah. And we show up, and the first thing out of his mouth, he looks over at my wife, and he's like, I used to run through your husband at Aces and Eights, brother. You know what I mean? Like, she's like, I know, Hulk.
That's
You know,
amazing.
just yeah, bro. He got a bad rap. Like, I don't want to say bad rap. You know what I mean? Like, he made some mistakes.
We all do.
We all do. You know what I mean? It's just his are extremely, extremely magnified too. You know, and people, like you're saying, people love him or hate him, but he's always been over the top sweet to me.
Good to hear. Because
and my wife and my friend, like, and my idiot friend.
Yeah, if you look at, I've interviewed so many people, and every time I ask about Hulk Hogan, because I love talking about him, because he's the guy who did pretty much made the world that we're all kind of living in professional wrestling.
He made it, dude.
Yeah, and
without him, there wouldn't. It still probably wouldn't be rocking and rolling.
Right. Agreed. Like Rock, Austin, Cena, all these people wouldn't be where they were ever in today's world without Hulk Hogan.
Yep.
And if anyone wants to deny that, then you're lying to yourself about what actually happened in professional wrestling. But
yeah. Could they have pushed somebody else in that little scenario with that kind of same character and thing? Maybe we don't know. But they didn't. They didn't have to.
They didn't.
You know what I mean?
That's all you have to,
brother. You know what I mean? Like,
it's simple.
Yeah.
Like
I said, credit where credit is due.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like,